we have returned!
Anyway, I have some spicy hot opinions.
That try to awkwardly get crammed between the dialogue
First,
and
that's
other bullshit in this game.
Before we talk about them spicy hot opinions, an interesting thing, which if this was all intentional, I think it's fucking brilliant. Basically, if you remember the Smash, bundle, the one that would basically be the game with a Switch as well, it was actually a download code of the game, not a physical copy. I bring this up because a lot of people thought when that was announced, because Nintendo had a weird thing about not 100% announcing a physical version of the game, that led basically to a bunch of people thinking, one, is this game too big for a Switch cartridge? And two, it's like, does it have a physical version? Again, it does. Or people thought Nintendo was just being cheap. But recently, in like the past, I think, day or so, I don't know the exact time on this, the Smash bundle, it leaked. Basically, it like leaked out in just some store or something, and because a person got a hold of it, they of course put it on eBay for a stupid shit ton of money, because they knew someone would buy it. And someone did, but because it is a download code, it is fucking worthless, technically. It's just the console, and like, I wonder, did Nintendo do this because they knew it would leak somehow? Just someone would take, like, one from a stock warehouse, or just some really small store or something.
That's how these things roll, apparently.
And that was funny to me, because I honestly, after seeing that, I kind of feel like they actually made it a download code so that the game would not leak early. Because you fucking know if a physical, like, you fucking know if someone got a physical copy of the game, they wouldn't have put that shit up on eBay. They would have fucking played it themselves and posted a screenshot of the final character roster.
Yeah?
And that's what we would probably be talking about right now.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to get that out of the way, because that was a fun story.
And now, while we've got a good rambling minute, we can go over some spicy opinions based on certain things going on. And again, I need to say this more up front. A lot of this game's commentary is a rambly mess, because commentating over a story-driven game like this is really hard to do.
Because you're either just reading the game's dialogue outright, or talking over it and nothing is happening. Well, things are happening, but you don't know what the fuck is happening.
Like, a million different things were going on, but more Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee news dropped, and this interview happened that has the collective internet very pissed off due to certain things in the interview and just certain people's opinions. I feel kind of jaded.
Like, the big thing, there's a lot you could talk about. Like, a lot of people think Masuda hates competitive play and stuff, but that wasn't the main thing I wanted to talk about. The main thing I wanted to talk about was that it has now basically been 100% confirmed. Abilities and items, they are not in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Some people may say that was confirmed months ago, not inherently.
People were confused by that.
For whatever reason, like, for months, I guess it's because the game is like a month away, so they're like, fuck it. Game Freak just had this weird wishy-washy...
Wishy-washy isn't Gen 1. That's Gen 7, silly Carson. Wishy-washy doesn't exist anymore.
The point is they...
I have to be an ass.
Yeah, the point is they were giving weird non-answers about it, but they've now finally confirmed that that's basically, you know, that's a thing. And a bunch of people are actually saying that this combined with the, you know, restricted to the original 151, a lot of people are saying that this is
totally fixes.
This is a good thing, because the metagame needed a you know, something refreshing like this, because with all, like, you know, all the stripping down and everything, you remove like all the broken nonsense. Like, you don't have any evasion boosting abilities, or you know, like, basically no guard on like the champ, and other things, and everyone is saying this will breathe new life into the meta. This, I honestly feel...
It doesn't fix jack shit.
If Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee has a meta, which it won't, it will be one of the shortest lived metas ever.
I think there will be a meta game, but that's more because a lot of people love just little side metas. But it's not going to be...
You can battle your friends, but that's why I said we're not really going to talk about the other statements and things, but part of the other reason I feel there's not going to be a meta, because we're, scaling back to Generation 1, this basically means that, breeding is not a thing. So, because breeding is not a thing, that means you can't make eggs, and if you can't make eggs, it's like, how the fuck will you do competitive training in this? Will this basically just be essentially grab something out of the wild and pray it has perfect stats?
That I've wondered about, but there's also kind of implications that they've scaled back the way IVs work.
You physically can't, though.
That was my thought.
Yeah, this is a side argument related to a completely different topic, so I'm not going to tangent on this, not yet, but I kind of hate when people try when talking about Pokemon, when they try to remove EVs from the equation, because you fucking can't. EVs and IVs are statistically ingrained into the Pokemon. And yes, technically, you can get something that has a neutral nature with a 0 in everything. It is technically capable with certain Pokemon, so there are ways to do it, but it, other than saying the fact that you fucking did it, it literally has no point. But again, that's its own...
I will start going into other rambling
again, that's its own side point. The main point...
Go on here.
The main point I wanted to make, the reason that will actually kill the metagame is because with no abilities in the original 151, it will be stagnant. Now, you could probably, with the modern game, make an argument about, 20 Pokemon already are, the only things that exist in OU anyway, so nothing changes, but a lot does change of, yes, while you have all of these Pokemon are the OU ones in quotations, and because of that people will use them more, they still have counters to, lower tier Pokemon can still serve as a counter to them. A prime example would be like Cortana and Tapu Bulu running around in OU with obnoxious grass stab and obnoxiously high attack stats. But if something has Sap Sipper, doesn't matter if it's Choice Banded, Adamant, Perfect, attack, Wood Hammer. If something has Sap Sipper, that's just gonna do jack shit to it. Then, is like, basically, a Kartana. If you are the type of risky asshole that runs a choice-banded adamant Kartana, and you've gotten a few Beast Boost under your belt, that's going to be a mighty powerful Leaf Blade. But again, if anything has Sap Sipper, which fucking Go-Goat can get, they literally can't hurt it. So abilities create just as many broken things as they, it breaks as much as it fixes, and that's a point I've wanted to try and make in some video, but I've wanted to make this point more when Sean and Brian are around, is that Pokemon is technically not inherently unbalanced or broken, because everything does technically have a counter.
Pokemon, with a wide spread where a lot of Pokemon are deemed OU, but sometimes the weirdest niche things exist in a way where you can stop other things, and a lot of that is based off of abilities and items. Scaling back a,
again, if you have removed them, that means that the metagame for, the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is probably going to mostly reflect the metagame of Generation 1, with a few Alolan forms, basically probably Alolan Sand Slash and Muck being the top dogs, because, you know, that's kind of another funny thing, and I didn't realize, and again, this kind of goes with the point, because of their typing and things, Muck and Alolan Muck and Sandslash are probably going to end up kind of obnoxious, because Alolan Muck is just a damn good Pokemon, even regardless
Alolan Muck
of its
exists.
ability. And now, granted, I will admit, Slush Rush is what made Alolan, like, Sandslash. That's what made it better, because in the old, you know, Generation 7 metagame, when it was actually ruled by Oravale, it's amazing to think there was a time Hail was the dominant force in the metagame. If you get
a somewhat dominant force.
It was more for doubles, because, you know, like, you get that fucker underneath Hail, under a Aura Veil with a Swords Dance up, and at that point, nothing will goddamn touch you. But that's, like, the reason I bring up abilities will let that thing run wild to some degree, whereas it's something that needed to run wild with its ability. Something like Snorlax, if it, you know, had Thick Fat, might actually be able to resist. Like, I'm getting high, might actually be able to resist, Alolan Sandslash, and I just thought about, again, going along with this. It's weird how, like, with the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you won't, like, abilities are so ingrained, you don't think about them a lot, but then you think, when you start sitting there and think about what our Pokemon actually losing with this to go back to Ninetales and stuff, because we have no abilities, that means Alolan Ninetales doesn't summon Hell.
And I watched a video of someone talking about the good and bad that would come from such a shift, and they brought up something that I didn't even really think about. Without abilities like Flame Body and Static and Poison Point, physical attackers can run wild with no...
Oh yeah, that's another thing. A bunch of physical attackers and things... You know, you have so many abilities that are triggered by physical contact. Without that being there, again, there's nothing to stop them. There's no potential risk. It's like, again, another thing where abilities balanced it out. Ferrothorn, because, you know, its ability, you take recoil damage every time you touch the thing. That is, again, something that threatens physical attackers to where...
Oh, we can do this now. Nice.
What the fuck is this?
This is a long event where you follow this guy on a boat alone deep into unmarked piles of trash in the sewer system.
Everything about that sounds shady and wrong.
Exactly!
I swear the game probably makes a point about that.
I think. We can go back to rambling.
That's what, you know, that was the main point of... with a bunch of abilities being there, one, a bunch of Pokemon that are frankly kind of, in terms of, like, you know, stats and things are now kind of terrible, and B, things that are actually, again, really good in stats are, and now don't have any form of, they don't have, like, any form of a counter to them, because Snorlax was, you know, big, beefy asshole, and Generation 1, its abilities are immunity or Thick Fat. You either resist ice and fire, or you're immune to poison. So one of these couldn't get poisoned, but because it's Snorlax, it would commonly run a bunch of physical contact moves. So again, now that those are gone, that does mean if it body slams something, there is no risk of when it body slams like Magmar or something, it has no risk of getting burned. Though someone would probably say just use Earthquake in that context, but that's besides the point.
And the thing, people are like, oh, it totally isn't going to stagnate. This means more Pokemon are going to be more usable than ever.
No, it will literally do the opposite.
The best Pokemon now have nothing that could potentially stop them.
Yes,
spamming your fire? Too bad I can't absorb it with Flash Fire.
Or, like, Earthquake is now going to be really super common and, like, really super good, better than it already is. Well, they took Gengar's Levitate away because Levitate on Gengar was kind of broken. That's another good example of if a Snorlax is spamming Earthquake, you before could swap in to, like, Gengar or something and potentially, because of Gengar's moves, again, you could potentially burn it, poison it, or do something else. Because Gengar is definitely fucking faster than Snorlax, and it had moves to shut it down. But now you can't get it. Well, like, so now you can't do something like that. And again, was that one, to be fair, they did take Levitate away from him normally, even though I personally feel they should have nerfed the Mega's ability, but that's beside the point.
Hey, but the Mega...
Yeah, that is one of the few good things in this. This means Mega Gengar won't be Ubers anymore.
Yeah, but this also means Mega Pinscher is fucking useless.
Yeah, wait, Yeah, actually, what the fuck are they going to do for those? The reason, like, the Pokemon that are given the elite abilities, that's basically there to make up for when they don't learn any moves of that type. That means they're gonna have to give Pinscher flying moves.
But Mega Evolution is not worth it.
Unless they give it flying moves.
Well, the joke...
They could give it Brave Bird through breeding. Oh, wait!
The kind of joke was, oh great, he gained more weaknesses and no benefits.
Because it did, and that's something I didn't think about. That one, like, you have actively, truly fucked with that one, because...
And Mega Venusaur.
Well, Mega Venusaur could still at least use his stab types. At least he gained, he had, like, grass and poison normally. It's not like he has a secondary type.
Yeah, but it lost Thick Fat.
Yes, which means that it can't tank as well now.
Essentially, my opinion, and the reason I believe that the metagame is not going to be better and more useful, because say Alolan Mug exists, well, no items exist, so you can't Assault Vest it, but I believe Alolan Mug, like regular Mug, gets Curse.
Yeah, it does. I thought you would remember that it gets cursed because of that one online battle you saved.
You have a point. That was the best thing ever.
Yes, it was.
Anti-Stall, Poison Hill, Gliscor. Soulbreaker Gliscor, and it was an old Generation 6 set that I made that they've changed slightly. There's a new variant of it, but the basic idea was it was a bulky set, but it had Swords Dance. And you might go, why would you give a bulky set Swords Dance? It's so you can tank some hits, and at +6, your middle of the road attack actually becomes...
And that thing survived a +3 attack from a Alolan Muck was Ice Punch.
It didn't survive, no, it survived knockoff.
Oh, yeah.
It survived knockoff.
It survived knockoff, that was it. Anyway, to get back to the main point, so the other reason it, like, the metagame and everything will basically stagnate, besides the fact that now the overpowered Pokemon are just overpowered because they don't have counters anymore, that also basically means you really only have one way to build something. Because a bunch of Pokemon, like, because of items, you could build, like, items and abilities, you could build them in a few different ways. Like, a good example, I know it's technically a lower tiered, but it's still a good example. Ludicolo, 2 of its abilities were Rain Dish or Swift Swim. These basically allow it to be a tank in the rain where it will constantly heal, or a sweeper in the rain. And Ludicolo's attack stats are actually close. Its special attack is 90, and its, like, physical was 70, and it gets Swords Dance, so even when you do a Swift Swim one, you could then have different variants, having it be a Life Orb, a Choice Specs, or a Choice Band. And again, on the physical set, you either run, like, Swords Dance, or you don't. But now, and while Ludicolo is, Generation 3,
Mm-hmm.
The point still stands of now, because abilities and items are gone, you can't do things like that, and that means
Swords?
Pokemon's dominant stats are now just objectively better. There's no way to build sets that take advantage of their lesser stats, but use items to fill in the gap.
Or items that fill in on an amazing stat for the sole purpose of, like, Flareon is god awful.
Because everyone needs to make at least one Adamant, Normalium, Z, Giga Impact, Slacking. You need to make at least one of those.
But basically, like, Flareon is god awful, but it has a good physical attack. Now, Flareon being bad, say we remove most of generations that are not one. Flareon might actually be kind of good as a wall breaker if it had a choice band. Because its attack stat is like 130, meaning a choice banded Flare Blitz could actually be respectable. Except without a choice band, why run a Flareon when I can just have this Alolan Mach set up curses and become defensively broken, offensively broken, and at that point, do I really need speed when I'm going to, at that point, there would also literally at that point be no reason for knockoff, meaning you could then just run like Crunch, Poison Jab, and...
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Is knockoff going to exist in the game? Or, I think, so they wouldn't have to fix knockoff from... Again, this is one of those weird things because of the weird way they were wishy-washy with things and the way a lot of people took things out of context. Because you have, well, you know, like the Z-Rings and stuff, those were key items, and I think there was something about the Mega Evolution Ring, that's considered a key item. I think there was something about the, crystals from Sun and Moon would be there, but that might have been speculation. Were there berries in Generation 1? Because in the original Old S Generation 1...
Generation 1 does not have a single goddamn item.
Pokemon couldn't hold anything.
No, they cannot.
So, because of that, I couldn't remember if there was a thing of... I seem to remember early before Game Freak just said that there's nothing. There was this weird, like, early rumor that it was, like, berries and the Z crystals would be in the game, but stuff like, you know, Assault Vest, Life Orb, and the choice items and all that, those would all be, like, gone along with, like, the type items, but I think it is just a clean slate fucking nothing.
It still doesn't fix stagnation.
I said that it didn't, but my point was if they kept, like, berries around for some fucking reason, that would at least, you know, because things could hold berries, you wouldn't have to alter knockoff. Because this means knockoff is either A, just going to not exist, B, be a permanent 65 power move that has no way to increase it, or C, arguably the worst option in this is now things with Mega Evolutions, knockoff will just basically be a permanent 120 on them, but only those things in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I know knockoff didn't originally affect Mega Evolution, you know, items and stuff, so there's that, but
Swords Dance users and Curse users are going to be the predominant Pokemon with little to nothing left that is of any value, and you can't really convince me otherwise that it's not going to be just a stagnant as Generation 1, as a modern Generation 1 metagame.
The only things that will be changed are because of the physical special split is there and we don't have Generation 1's broken mechanics. That means stuff that took advantage of glitches like like Wrap or the using a multi-hitting move to get multiple critical hits, those aren't going to be there, so all that shit will be gone, but that shit will basically be replaced with most likely the steel types and aluminum muck.
As someone breaking down what would be lost, now that you... Physical attackers are just better, because, I don't have to worry about Flame Body on this Pokemon. I can just punch it in the face. Forever.
Mm-hmm. And no fear of Flame Body, Static, Cute Charm, or any other shit like that. That means Snorlax can now kind of recklessly spam Giga Impact without much repercussion.
I love that. She found a mattress, some beer cans, and some weed, it looks like. Someone is back here in this garbage area that flooded.
And some weed, it looks like. I feel like that's just the moment you just take and screen cap. Anyway, back to the bitching.
My ultimate point, this will breathe new life into a metagame. Now that it's like, all the bullshit is gone. Whose idea was it to get high, drunk, and then bonk? Boink?
Bork?
No, B-O-I-N-K.
Oh.
Boink. Whose idea was it to get high, drunk, and then boink? Way back here. It does seem like a lot of trouble to go to. We can ramble in a minute, but this is hilarious. It's very funny.
Game did ultimately end up kind of pointing it out.
What?
I said the game ultimately did kind of end up pointing it out.
They traveled back into a flooded, abandoned tunnel that is full of garbage and flooded, that was an old trolley system. And to get around down here, you would have to dodge bats and go through flooded trash-filled water, meaning they took
and rats. You basically have to dodge all of them.
They took a boat through trash and rat-infested, bat-filled waters.
That's why, like finding beer, weed, and like pouring down here. That is funny, but that's one of those. So I was in a situation like this where, you're in the middle of like an abandoned bumblefuck nowhere that you assume a human eyes haven't seen in years, and you find like a fresh beer can down there. That is when I would like nope the fuck out. It's when you turn around and you nope.
You want to talk about noping the fuck out, and then we'll go back to the Pokemon tangent. I was watching this video one time. These people were exploring this like abandoned hotel water park area, and they were exploring the hotel part, this like stretch motel part. And they had found this door and they couldn't get in, so they got in another way. But on the way that when they were backtracking and getting ready to leave, the door that they had found previously that they couldn't get into was open.
Yeah, that's when you like, nope, no.
They left.
Like you said, that's when you nope the fuck out.
So, like, the reason, the story is also doing some sentimental stuff that I'm kind of reading, but I'm also trying to, I know we've been repeating this point for like 15, 20 minutes, but it doesn't fix the metagame. It just creates...
Honestly, the repeating it multiple times kind of... Not the bad thing, everything. Honestly, the, repeating it multiple times kind of strengthens the point, because we brought up several examples of, things would be very different if certain Pokemon did not have their abilities.
Okay, guys, so I have a very straightforward question of the day. Do you guys agree with the points that me and Carson were making in this video when it came to the metagame surrounding Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee? Or do you agree with the points we were arguing against? I would really love to know what side of the argument you're on. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments below, or you can leave them on social media. All my social media links are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you liked my video, please hit the like button and leave some comments. If you're new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscription button and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please ring the bell next to the subscription button. That gives you the proper notifications of whenever I upload a new video. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media. Doing all of these things really helps out the channel, and it really helps our communities grow. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time.